I'm live. Bills fans, forgive me. Forgive me. Um, some stuff came up really quick, and then I ended up, watching the Miami Arizona game for a number of reasons. Next week's opponent, closest team in the division. Wow. Wow. Um, it. Wow. That. I mean, it's a game we would have all sat around and said, oh, they finally beat the Patriots. Maybe they had a little bit of a really tough team, came in and they're out of division, out of conference, so it doesn't hurt. And we would have rationalized an L to ourselves that way. But they never lost the lead. They just went down and scored and scored. And when they felt like the game was getting close, I mean, I think the closest it was the whole game was 7, the first touchdown, and then it was 27 20, and they just kept scoring. And it's the kind of game that we've asked for so long. And you look at the crust of it, 34 points. You're like, wow, you gave up 34 points, 400 yards. It's no, they forced 4 turnovers, big turnovers, a turnover in the end zone, stopped them on fourth down, uh, an interception that got him a cheap 7 points on the Trey White, a forced fumble, 2 forced fumbles, a strip sack by. Was there ever a doubt? AJ Klein. When holy shit, holy shit. And you know what? They got pressure, and it was the first time I saw that they trusted their back 5, their back 6 in coverage. They said, you know what, fuck it. If they're gonna kill us, they're gonna kill us. They played the run really, really well today. They didn't really get eaten up in the run game. Not that Seattle tried to run the ball, they did a little bit, but I mean, it was it was a game where you really thought that the L was coming. I kind of just, I was like, whatever. I hope they put up a good game. I hope they make a good account of themselves. Maybe, if I wasn't conceding mentally, but I was like, if they lose 20, 28-34, something, and man, they were like, nah, fuck that. And it's the kind of thing where you feel now that they had a couple of losses there against some really, really good teams and some really, really crazy situations. And I always felt like that the throwing off of the schedule really fucked them up. Having the Tennessee game in doubt so much. Then you have to move the KC game to a Tuesday. I always felt like that messed with them. And today was the first day that we saw the Bills from the first 4 weeks. They gave up their points, but can any of us say that this wasn't the best defensive game of the season, given the opponent, given the opponent, given the caliber of are they going to Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson? Are they going to face better quarter? Are they going to face a better quarterback all year? I Those are 2 Super Bowl winners. I don't know. I don't think that they've got another one that's better on their schedule. And yeah, that's I don't want Miami to be the barometer. I was hoping that Arizona could win, but they didn't. But still, 44-34, Bills beat Seattle. Bills at home. I talked to Dave before the game. I said, you know what, we got a team coming across the country. Maybe they're just looking at this the same way we're looking at it. What's up, Dan? What's up, Damager? Crazy. Gemini, Chris. I'm wow. I needed to compose myself. I was so nervous. All I did was clean. I was just like, please. It had that taste, didn't it? It had that Rams feel. I was like, man, this is gonna go the way of the Rams game, isn't it? They're gonna lose the fucking lead, and we're just gonna be maybe they won't have it in them. But man, what can you say? Josh Allen, um, came out after the game. His grandmother had passed away. Was it a Saturday, late Saturday night, unforeseen, and he went out there and he left it all on the field. 31 of 38, 415, 4 total touchdowns. Probably should have had 5 because that was the one. There was 2 plays that pissed me off during the whole game. 2 really pissed me off. Actually, I'm lying. 3. The Dave Moore was it the touchdown, the long touchdown where they just lost coverage and he got behind. I think it was Marlowe, and it was just a bomb. It was a bomb. It was like 68, and it was such a quick touchdown that they got. I'm like, son of a bitch, here it is. That's the last thing I wanted. I wanted, if they scored a touchdown, fine, but just have to grind your way downfield, take time off the clock. No, it was quick, bang, bang, bang. And then McDermott not challenging the Gabe Davis touchdown. It was a touchdown. Even the network said it. It was a touchdown. And they ended up settling for 3. I'm like, oh my God, please don't tell me that 4 points against that team. That's a death nail. Any team, 4 points is huge. It's a difference between maybe having to go down and score a touchdown and kick a field goal. It's everything. But instead, this team just came out and just wowed us. I mean, I think they played their most complete game of the year. You start off the game and you get a 50-plus yard, 60-yard kickoff return from Andre Roberts. You are very, very aware for a pooch onside kick. AJ Epinesa recovers it. And then the last onside kick, Micah Hyde easily fields it. They did throw Bass out there for that 60-plus yarder, had plenty of leg, but it drifted wide right. Nailed all his PATs and the field goals that were within range. Let me get to that. Edmonds had the best game of his season. 8 tackles, 2 for losses, and a sack. Had a pass breakup. AJ Klein. He had the strip sack on Russell Wilson pretty much seals the game for the Bills. The Bills go down and they just run off time. I think they kicked the field goal, and that was pretty much it. 5 tackles, 1 for loss, 2 sacks, 4 QB hurries, a forced fumble, a forced recovery, and a pass breakup for AJ Klein. The guy was just he was a monster out there today. And that's the thing McBrizzle brings up. And aside from not running the ball, I felt like the most complete game. They didn't need to. They didn't want to. And this is what I think this is, if you look at it, this is the kind of offense we've dreamed about for so long. 1 week, you know what? We're just going to grind it. We're going to ground and pound it. And we're just going to make the game. It's an ugly game. It's a nasty weather game. And then this week, it's like, even Pete Carroll after the game says, we thought that they were going to run more. They were like, no, they came out and pitch and catch all over the field. Pitch and catch all over the field. 16 QB hits on a mobile quarterback. I think 2 roughing the passers. Both were absolute. Well, the one on Hughes was absolute bullshit. And the screen, as Travsdale's bring up, they were getting to Allen. I think they had gotten a 3 and out, or they were just getting to him a little too much. And that screen to Moss, he had 2 big catches, but that was a big play. Backed them up a little bit, and they eventually went down and scored. It was a hell of a performance. I mean, 1 week they morph into one thing, another week they morph into another, and this week they came out and, we have a quarterback that went out there against, a guy who's amazingly never won an MVP. I have no idea how he hasn't. That's criminal. A guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, and Josh was his equal. And that's, who would have thought that? Who would have thought we would ever say that? 3rd in the league in passing. I feel like the stat sheet has cheated him a few touchdowns in the last couple of weeks. He got 3 today, ran 1 in, and this kid is, I've seen we potentially have another Corey type situation. Doesn't view the videos too much, but he does comment. And, he said 5 straight L's after last week. Shitty defense. And, yeah, I mean, maybe they played the shitty defense, but they played timely defense. 16 QB hits, 6 sacks, 4 turnovers, big play. Just big plays. Me and Damager talked about it for the game. If you could get 2 or 3 3-and-outs and maybe 2 turnovers instead, wow. Trey White finally, comes up. They had Seattle in a really long situation, 3rd and long, and he just peels off his route, comes back and INTs. Wilson almost had a pick 6, bingo, and yeah, man, most complete game of the year. It was so many plays in this game. Allen had, I think, 9 completions for over 20 yards in this game. He's got 38 for the year. Just a ton of big plays. They're showing the highlights right now on the on Sunday Night Football, and you see this type of game, and you see the highlights being played, and the quick hitter to John Brown. It just, God, he should have scored. Oh, if he wouldn't have slipped. It just feels so good. It feels so good. You saw the pundits before the game giving the Bills no chance whatsoever. They all picked Seattle to beat the Bills. Bills guys picking the Bills to lose, and they said, nah, they did the thing that everybody. It felt a lot like Dallas last year, but instead, we know Seattle's a contender. Seattle's a contender. He's, that guy, that coach, they've been around for, their bread and butter. And, DK Metcalf, the guy is from another planet. I mean, he got his today, but overall, I mean, he scored the touchdown late, but they held him down pretty well. I mean, he had the one long play over Trey, but overall, he was held down very, very well. And now, I love the fact that these guys, all these, Bills, and this is what irritates me about a game like this is they're talking about Russell Wilson's turnovers. Why don't you talk about the play of the Bills? Why don't you talk about the fact they forced him into those turnovers? Why don't you talk about the fact that the Bills quarterback went toe-to-toe and beat that MVP? And you have, persimmon-faced Rodney Harrison, who, I don't know what he's going to say, but it was so nice. You see Poyer playing the running back. He tries to get it to Jacob Hollister in the back of the end zone, and Poyer's spying him, and he picks it. Reminds me a lot of Micah Hyde's interception against Tom Brady last year against the Bills when he peeled off. He tried to peeled off and it was going to go to Edelman, and he intercepted it. Oh, there's the Jerry Hughes with the strip sack. That's 3 straight weeks with the sack, and I believe he's had a couple of strip sacks baked into that. So all the things that we were upset about in the prior weeks, not getting to the quarterback, not getting turnovers, lack of interceptions, it all just finally came to fruition. Here's a guy who I despise in Mike Florio. I cannot stand this fucking guy talking. Talking about like Josh Allen wouldn't have played, he was very emotional afterward about his grandmother passing away. Next week have to be really careful. Obviously, I mean, next week's going to be a big game, and I think it's going to be a similar game to what we saw. I think, maybe they'll be more balanced. Who knows? Arizona's there to be had, I think, in the past game. They have some dynamic players in the defensive secondary. Baker, Patrick Peterson, notwithstanding, I think Byron Murray is a pretty good player. But I really, well, that's why, I just think that he's a guy who has to eat crow. Never liked Allen. Well, you force the turnovers. I mean, what if you don't, if not for the turnovers? Well, guess what? You have the turnovers. I mean, you have the kickoff return. Let's start editing out. Like today, I put up on Twitter. I always do this as a obviously very sarcastic. Josh Allen sucks. Bills win. And the guy who comments on here, he's a good guy. Maybe he's a scarred Bills fan. I'd like to say, like a lot of us are. Playing the shitty defense, and I was like, oh, that's the crutch for this week. So you played a shitty defense, but if they would have went out there and lost, told you so. So it's a catch-22. You can't win with the people like this. You just can't do it. So you just move forward. 7-2, the 2 L's obviously we know about very well, and I'll stand on my crutches that I think that the schedule, some injuries, but the schedule being moved around, the status of the game really hurt them, and it showed in their play. Crazy Killer, what do I think of Miami? I think they're a good team. I think I saw some mistakes by Flores with some game management, some timeout utilization that was very, very puzzling. Tua avoided a few turnovers. I think he got saved on a penalty early in the game, and he but he did what he had to do. He got the fourth down conversion. Eric's, just said what I said earlier. The most complete game, all 3 phases. You can't cut it any other way. You give up 4 points, and you're thinking like, oh, the defense. The last touchdown was kind of a garbage time touchdown. The other touchdown, I mean, you lose a player running down the field. He catches a 69-yard bomb on you, but when this defense needed to make something happen, with tackle for loss, keeping Seattle on down and distance, harassing Russell Wilson, hitting him just constantly. He was off. There was some passes that he normally would have hit, but he was a little off today, and I think he was off because of the pressure, because of the hits. The Bills were doing a lot of different things in the secondary. They did a lot of man zone switches. They baited him a couple of times, and he almost had another interception. I shit you not, and it was really irritating that they didn't come up with it. But they forced some turnovers on him. They forced him to fumble, and it was a very Bills type of game like we expect from the defense. And it's a game. You have Milano on IR, but you have your corners back. And Dane Jackson late in the game made a few nice plays, had a big tackle. He did give up the touchdown to Metcalf, but had a nice tackle on him on a short little quick hitter. Miami plays Buffalo in Buffalo next. Last game of the year. So you bring that team up into the cold, and maybe the Bills have a bye. Who knows? Maybe the Bills have a home game, but I want them to go into that game, need that game, and put Miami away. Who knows? Chargers always find a way to lose games, so I don't know. It's just crazy the way they find a way to lose games. Damager said it. The team we saw today that's the way the big games in the playoffs are won. You go up against good quarterbacks. You go up and down the field. You score. You make plays. Is it the Bills' fault that their quarterback played a clean game? No. Josh Allen played he put the ball on the turf one time, but it kind of came right back to him. It pounced. It wasn't a real obvious fumble at all. And I didn't see a pass being close to being intercepted. Not one. He did get sacked a little bit. They didn't take any big hits. The one play that he was running toward the sideline, and it was a big pass to Beasley. I think it was on a third down too. It was nice. It was really, really nice. Aaron Watson, I'm so happy to see Allen rolling again, knowing that the run game has come around. We needed this huge. If this defense can continue to be opportunistic, we can make a deep run. How's Trey and Ford? Ford was on the sideline running. He didn't come back into the game. And I know Trey was taped up. He was bouncing around on the sidelines, but they didn't need him to come back in. They finished out the last series without him. They gave up the touchdown, the friends and family touchdown to Seattle, and they just, they got the ball back on the onside kick and they kneeled it down. So I think he should be good to go. If Ford is kept out this week, maybe they get Mitch Morse back. They can kick Feliciano back over to guard, and then you got the bye. You can get guys back healthy. You can get Josh Norman back healthy. You can, you give Milano that extra 3 weeks to get to really, well, now, at 4 or 5 weeks to get healthy. And maybe Darren Lee comes up. I didn't see Delshon, and that was a shock too. I was expecting to see Delshon Phillips play in the base defense. I was expecting it. They activated him. I was like, you know what? We're going to see this kid play. And then I just saw AJ Klein out there, and I was like, oh no. And who knew? Who knew, man? Who knew? Eric says, I love to see constant impact pressure that we put on Wilson. I mean, if you pressure that guy who's mobile, who can beat you with his legs, as well as his arm. I mean, his arm. For the shorter quarterbacks, he's really, really, really throws a beautiful deep ball. Beautiful deep ball. You saw the one to Metcalf. You saw the one to Moore. He just, man, he gets those passes. He really does. Where he was off was on the crossers. He was off on the crossers. He skipped a few passes. He had a few guys. He led them a little too far. But when it comes to a deep pass, man, that guy might be the best in the league. I think if our defense plays like this next week, we'll win. Yeah, if you get 4 turnovers and you're beating up a small quarterback like Murray, that was I saw today from Allen is I'm so happy we have that big physical stud prototype, but can maneuver within the pocket. There was a couple of plays. Did you see the one where he just flicked it? He just flicked it like he was going down, and he just kind of like flicked it to Moss, and it was not the screen. And Moss ran again, big play. And yeah, Murray isn't Wilson. I don't think he's got the passing acumen of Wilson just yet. He's not as big as Wilson. He's not as built thick. Wilson's a thick guy. He's big legs. He's just built like a thick. Murray's legs do scare me. He ran for a buck and change today. He's a scrappy son of a bitch. He's a good quarterback. He's a good young quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a good quarterback. And he's got a lot of weapons. Kirk, Isabella, obviously Fitzgerald, hot nuke. No tight ends, which is encouraging. Seattle got the Bills with some tight end play today. They got Hollister, got them. I think they were squeezing the wide receivers so much. Seattle made a little bit of adjustment, started hitting Disley. They hit Greg Olsen on a shorter play, but Disley and Hollister really hurt them. So it was a great overall, though. I mean, we can nitpick. It was a great performance on all 3 sides of the ball. And there's no more to say other than that. I mean, they didn't need to run. They had no desire to run. They ran a few plays here and there. They had the one big negative to Moss, but then they ended up getting the first down. I think it was an illegal contact downfield, 5 yards, but automatic first down. The roughing the passer call was just horrific. I mean, he just had his hands up. He knocked him down. Maybe he touched his helmet. And even then, Seattle, if you guys remember, McDermott was losing his mind. He went ape shit because DJ Dallas kind of did a weird stutter move, didn't reset, and they didn't throw the flag for remember how the Bills lost the player not set or illegal shift, and the Bills didn't they got burned for not getting a touchdown. I think it was against the Jets. That was a really pissed me off because I think Seattle did end up scoring. I think Wilson snuck it in. If I'm not mistaken, Wilson snuck that one in. Oh, man. But nevertheless, guys, wow. Who would have thought we would have been sitting here doing this, talking about a Bills win versus Seattle? And I know a lot of you guys, all you guys who are in right now, the ones who can't be in here, the diehards, if you guys are in this room, you're a diehard, you're a loyal Bills fan through true blue and through. There's no other way to surround it. What a win today for our fantastic fan base. What have we heard about this team? What have we heard about this team? They can't beat a good team. Oh, look, when they play a KC, when they play a Tennessee, Oh, remember Dallas? Remember Dallas was the litmus test last year. Everybody thought that they were going to lose. They beat Dallas pretty easily, not by the bigger score margin, but they had that game in hand. And not no, we didn't score on every drive a TD. We I think they punted twice. Um, they just got the turnovers and they turned those into 1, 2. I think they got 20 points off turnovers. And Thomas says it. I feels like we really do. I mean, here we are. Remember, everybody said, "Oh, Allen was hot first 3 weeks of the year. Calm down." But here we are, week 9, and I don't care about Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense is Seattle's defense. That's their problem. Bills had defensive issues. They cleaned them up today. They gave up some points, but they made tons of big plays. And the thing that I like, aside from what Eric said, they beat a good team, a team that's capable of making a deep run in the playoffs. The Bills beat that team today. They beat them. Let nobody take that away. Next, remember, they've been asking the Bills, particularly, the defense, ask McDermott, what type of defense do you think you'll have this year? What type of defense? What's your identity? Bend but don't break, try to shut team. What is it? And they just said, we're going to have to be a turnover defense. We're going to have to be a turnover defense. We're going to have to be the type of defense that turns the ball over. And last week, how do they seal the game? Big turnover, forced fumble by Justin Zimmerman. This week, different heroes emerge. AJ Klein, who would have thunk it? You have Addison getting a sack, Jerry Hughes with a forced fumble. Tremaine Edmonds has his best game of the year. Trey White gets his first interception. Poyer picks off Russell in the end zone, and that's a big turnover because the Bills get the ball back at the 20 as opposed to being at the 1. I don't know what more to say. And you got a little nervous there in the game because they started losing offensive linemen like crazy. You see Ford, I didn't even know he left the game till the announcer said something about him. I'm like, oh my God. And I heard that they carted him back to the locker room with an ankle. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, just get the guy back. And he almost caught that one deep in the end zone, though, bro. Crazy. That scared the shit out of me, man. I thought he was going to haul it in because remember when Wilson just heaved it up there and it looked like he was throwing it away? That could have been a touchdown. What's up, Trevor? How you doing, bro? Yeah, man. But they said turnover defense. Do think our D finally turned a corner? I think that they got a lot of confidence. They had a crazy rocky part of the year. They took 2 L's. People are questioning them. The run D's getting gashed. Guys injured, coming in and out. They finally get it together. The offense was a little rocky there too. They grinded out a few wins against the Jets and the Patriots, 2 down teams. And then you got Seattle coming in. And the way they closed out last week, just the ethos of the Patriots, just to know the stranglehold. I don't care who's in that fucking uniform. You still have Bill Belichick on the sideline. You have a former MVP quarterback in Cam Newton, even though he's not the same player anymore. And the game went down to the wire, and the Bills defense finally made the play to win it because they legitimately did. And you got this week where you have this caliber of quarterback and a Super Bowl winner, the head coach, the whole 9. And their defense is suspect, but the Bills have an offense now that we can all agree that can say, you know what, we can go tit for tat with these teams. If we have to just go score, we're going to go score. And they did that, and there's no other way about it. They put together the drives when they had to. They closed out drives that they had to, and the defense made plays. They just made plays all over the field today. They had plays made on them, but they made the more important ones against Seattle. And that is against that caliber of opponent. I can't understate that enough, how beautiful and awesome that was to watch. I mean, best Bills win. I mean, the Bills beating Atlanta, a team that came off the Super Bowl with a rookie head coach, Tyrod Taylor, back in 2017 was big. 2018 for them to go in and beat up what everybody considered to be a very good Minnesota team Bills were what 0-2. Everybody's like, oh, here's Josh Allen. He's going to get rocked, and they handled the Vikings. And what's up, Matt? How you doing, bro? And then last year, Dallas had some close games against the Patriots, and you just feel like you're right there. You're right there. I mean, the Ravens, you're right there. You're right there. Just a play here, a play there, and finally, oh yeah, you got to say, and then just here it is, biggest win by far over the McDermott era for Allen, and you just see the trajectory. The trajectory is here. Remember, everybody got all hot and horny about Baker Mayfield, his big first end of year. Oh, he beat up a bunch of bad teams, put up some decent stats, felt dangerous, and everybody just like, oh, this is the future of the league. This is that. And then, Allen, pedestrian, just growth, growth mindset, trust the process. We hear these things, all the accuracy issues, which we saw. And this, and we're so scarred by quarterbacks who just, they look good for a little bit, for a hot second, and then, Trent Edwards, EJ Manuel for like 1 or 2 games, and then nothing. Today, 80% completion. His first is 400 yards, 31 to 38, third in the league in passing, and just, you can't worry about those teams because you worry about, every team is different, every game plan is different. Despite the defense's issues, I trust our defensive coaching staff more than I trust Arizona's, more than I trust most. So, and I think that I trust them because they do what they say. They say they're going to be a turnover defense. They're going to try to fit, and seems like against that quality of team that they really, really, they got it done. They got the job done today. Keep winning. We don't need to worry. That's all. Just take care of your own business. You go into Arizona, you win that game. You go to the bye week, and then you got 6 games left, and you roll. That's it. 7-2. This team, everybody and their mother thought and felt like we were going to lose today. They were going to lose today. That they were going to get curb stomped, or hang in there a little bit, and then Seattle would pull away at the end, and Russ would be. Everybody remembers the Walt Powell game, where he gets knocked to the ground by Richard Sherman at the end. I think he also Dan Carpenter gets hit, and he's kind of never the same kicker after that. But yeah, 17 by 17 at some points. The 2 times that I was really upset is when we settled for field goals. I'm like, you're going to need to beat this team with touchdowns today. There's no other way. When I was irate when they came back after the field goal and they had shown that Davis had scored, I was, oh my God, I was like, that puts the nail in the coffin. And it just, I almost vomited everywhere. And all I kept thinking about when it was 27 to 20 is that it should be 31 to 20 in a 2-score game and not a 1-score game. I was so fucking happy. So happy that they didn't choke. So happy that they just kept going. They kept scoring. The defense kept making plays. There was no let up. And everybody just really, really, they balled out today. From man 1 to man 55, they balled out. Like we didn't think that could we ever imagine AJ Klein making big plays on defense? And this, like, oh my God, get that guy off the field. All those weeks, no sacks, no pressure. And then finally, Jerry Hughes in the last, what has he got? He's got 4 sacks in the last 3 games, 2 forced fumbles, an interception. Trey Edmonds finally having a game that, you want from your first round middle linebacker, your top paid corner playing big, getting an interception, almost running it back for a touchdown. A defensive captain making a big play on a 4th down, and Jordan Poyer. You just 16 QB hits. The list goes on, and they played the run very, very well. I mean, Seattle had a few plays in the run game, but overall, The Bills got a lot of tackles for losses today, a lot more than that they've had. And I think that this defense, again, give them a little time, give them a little, just give them a little and get some traction, get some healthy bodies back. Let Norman rest up that extra full 3 weeks. This week coming up, then the bye, and then you get him back after the bye. So essentially 3 weeks, and then you get Milano back after that. Have him ready to go for the last 5 weeks of the season, as opposed to like playing 15 plays a game. That's nothing. Call Allen Cannon from now. Man, you know what I love is that we expect Allen to play good. We all have confidence that he's going to give us a good game. Like, that kid went out there and was calm, cool, collected last week when he just, he didn't have a crazy stat line. He checked to that little quick hitter to Brown, set up the game-winning field goal essentially. Today he backed up. You know what? It was a third and long. It was like a 3rd and 16. Another quick hitter to Brown. He almost scored on that. The adjustments that he's making, getting him out of bad looks into good plays, out of bad plays. He's really Will, I don't know. Eric, I actually had a talk with somebody. I just feel like they don't, he's not playing physical enough. He's not holding up well at the point of attack. Maybe the knee hasn't fully healed, with no camp, no preseason, that they couldn't wean him back the way they wanted to. Obviously, you don't have Star, so he has to play a little bit of a different role in the defense, and other guys are playing better. You basically got a guy you picked up on the waiver wire at the cut down, the roster cut down, playing ahead of him, and Justin Zimmer. And Justin Zimmer, I can count more plays Justin Zimmer has made than I can ever remember, Harrison Phillips playing. So, I mean, I that's why I like this staff. I like this general managers, because they don't have nobody gets special treatment here. You got a 3rd round pick. You got the story about him being a wrestler and McDermott and him mucking it up on his visit, and supposed to be a Kyle Jr. and this and that. But they're like, you know what? This kid, this undrafted free agent who's been on 5 different teams, is giving us and making us plays, and he's going to play ahead of this kid. This kid's going to get the scratch. I mean, you have AJ Epinesa. See, I felt like the active today would have been Daryl Johnson, which he was. He had the big a hit on the kick return and on Swain. And I felt like, because he plays special teams, he was going to play ahead of Phillips. He was going to get the call, and he did. But, you had AJ Epinesa. He has to earn his stripes too. Everybody does. And when they say AJ Klein, they have trust in him, they have confidence in him, and then he comes out and delivers this kind of game. It's like, okay, like, I have to shut the fuck up and step back and be like, something I don't. And yeah, man, I wish we had fans too, bro. I really do. I really wish our fans could be there to enjoy that, to see that, to experience that, to finally, have a team that can go blow to blow with a quality opponent. And just that place would have been insane. That stadium would have just been shaking, and it just really irritates. I really hope we can have fans. I really do, because this is, I'm looking at some fans here in Tampa. I saw they had about 4,000 fans. They had what they said 4,200 fans there in Arizona. So I don't know what the issue. How do I feel about the Arizona game? I think it'll be similar to what we saw today. I think you're going to see 2 teams that can score, that can go up and down the field. I feel confident in the sense that they're going to be indoors. The weather's not going to be a factor. They can do what they want from a game plan standpoint, a strategy standpoint. They don't have to plan around the weather. I think that the defense can bait Murray into something, because I still think his height, lack thereof, kind of inhibits him from seeing the field. I've seen him throw a few interceptions that a quarterback who is a little bit taller that could see those things wouldn't throw. especially when the D line has their hands up. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's a good quarterback, and they played a hell of a game. And I got to tip your hat to Miami for going in there and playing well on the road and winning with a rookie quarterback. You can't you can't say otherwise. But I heard a lot about their defense, and their defense got worked a little bit today. Their defense got worked. The Bills worked their defense. They have the number one scoring defense in the league. Defense is very weird this year. The Bills, if you look at the scoreboard, you wouldn't say they play a good defensive game, but if you watch the game, you say they play a hell of a defensive game. No other way to say it. 8-2 before. I mean, hope knock on wood, man. There's nothing worse than going to a bye with an L. There's nothing worse. And the Bills got a victory Monday. They're off tomorrow, so they have to earn that shit. I swear. They can have an extra 2 days at the bye if they win next Sunday. Yeah, so I'm ecstatic, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to say, really. You guys have been great. Thanks for being patient with me. A few things popped up. I had to run in and out of the house for like a few hours. I had set up the room. I didn't leave the timer. I forgot how to do it. And oh my God, Drew Brees almost threw a horrible interception. If JPP would have still had his fingers, he would have caught that. Man, I'm so happy because who wanted to go the whole week? You barely you beat the Patriots. You finally get the bugaboo, and everybody is going to say it's like the only way that the Patriots win could ever be validated is that we have to sit around, wait for the Patriots to find Tom Brady 2.0, and then if we beat them, then it's valid. But if you don't beat them, if you just don't beat what is another good and just another opponent, it's like it doesn't count. This week, like the comments this guy left me, he said, "Oh, here it is." He said, if he only played the worst D in the league every week, like what does that have to do with anything? Why do we have to shit on Allen's performance that way? I hate that kind of stuff. I really do. I don't like it. I mean, if he would have played middling to bad, you're gonna shit on him even harder. So with somebody like that, you can't win. But you know what? I think he's a Bill fan. What a sick win, Andy says. Hell yeah. McBrizzle. It's going to be a week of endless highlight viewing for me. Yeah, I haven't watched the highlights yet. And you know what? It's horrible. But this kid really does. He has a chip on his shoulder that's crazy. It's crazy. And to have lost somebody he holds dear, and then to go out and play that way, and you go out and you play that way, and just play like reminds you like very, very tragic, the Brett Favre thing, where he loses his father. He plays that next Monday night against the Raiders, and he just destroys them. And you knew about it before the game. Find out about Allen's grandmother after the game. You saw the team in the locker room with him. He breaks the team down. He gets them amped up to come out onto the field, and they respond to him. They respond to him big time, and he responds. Like last week, he was chill. This week, he was even cooler. And what do you think a game like this is going to do for his psyche? I lost my grandmother. I'm playing against a guy who's arguably a league MVP, a guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. Fuck it, let's roll. And he went out and rolled. Eric says franchise quarterback. All things well, I think we have a franchise quarterback. I really feel like we have a franchise quarterback. So and it's really, really nice to see. Really, really nice. Who's a dick, Andy? I'm sorry. Your comments being held for review. Fuck all the haters. I'm going to show that. Bowman, media will shun the Bills and still focus on Wilson and the MVP race. Let them sleep on us as long as we pick up W's. They'll talk about us eventually. That's one thing that irritated me a little bit. They were talking about Wilson's bad play or just an off game for him. They didn't really give the credit the Bills for, and Josh Allen. I was like, yo, what the fuck? You had a quarterback throw for 400 yards, a guy that they're quick to shit on, and what? Like, their defense didn't force those turnovers. They didn't play good defense. Like, I'm as a Bills fan, maybe I'm biased in that way, but come on, you got to credit the opponent. The Bills just didn't happen to luck into those. They made those plays happen. We watched the game. It wasn't a bounce of the ball. It wasn't the ball just falling out of a guy's hands. They made those plays. Great. Yeah, that's true. How many GMs would pick Allen over Kyler Murray as of right now? I think all of them. All of them. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I'm saying that because I feel like they would. And if you do the draft, the 18 draft over again, Josh Allen's the first overall pick in the draft. The Browns would take Josh Allen. How do you guys feel hearing that? You redo the 2018 draft over today, a draft we all felt upset about afterwards, that Josh Allen would be the first draft redo. Josh Allen would be the first overall pick in that draft. Ahead of Lamar Jackson. I don't care what he does. I don't care what last year was like. This is this year. Josh Allen's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. It might be the first quarterback of your Bills. It's the first quarterback for a lot of you guys. This is your Jim Kelly, guys. He's my Josh Allen, but in hindsight for you guys, this is what it was like to have Jim Kelly. Here you guys go. This is what it's like. How does it feel? How does it feel to have Jim? Oh, you heard all the old Bills fans, your fathers, your older brothers talk about Jim Kelly. You have it now. This is what it's like. Ask the older guys like Joe and some of the dudes. He's for sure a better passer. I feel more confident with Allen lead on our team if I would. I feel Jackson is at an apex Tyrod Taylor. Like, he's a more elite version of Tyrod Taylor, because he's got the pedigree. He's bigger. I feel like, their offense, I don't think that they can morph week to week. I don't think that they want Lamar Jackson throwing 40, 50 times a game. I don't think, you have Baker Mayfield, who continues to turn the ball over, couldn't throw in the Cleveland win last week, had a hard time, had an indoor team from Las Vegas come in and beat them at their own game. Andy Reid has been a Bills fan since 90. I'm so happy we found a quarterback. I mean, I can't tell you. And I guess Kelly came into his own, late 88, 89, 90, seeing those teams, seeing those games, the biggest passing era, the year was the 91 era, 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns. I think Josh Allen's going to break all that. I think he's going to surpass all those numbers. And now you guys get to experience Allen, Diggs. You saw what a healthy John Brown means to this offense today. You see what a healthy John Brown means to this team today. And it was really, really nice to see. Kelly had 2 years of pro experience, and he lost a year because of the shoulder injury he had at Miami. And everybody, the class of 83 played in 83. He played in 84, and he went to the USFL, played with the Houston Gamblers, and he had big years there. And he was good, but he was a 26-year-old rookie. A lot of people forget that, or maybe don't remember about Jim Kelly. He was a 26-year-old rookie. Josh Allen was a 22-year-old rookie. So, he had a lot of experience, and, you guys see it. John Brown was clutch today, so underrated. Diggs was so smooth on those crossing routes. Sorry to digress. Those crossing routes he was running, just so smooth. The one that he should have caught, it was just like right on the tips of his fingers, and it just kind of like slipped out at the end. Damn it. That's going to change, Thomas, because let's say what the updated stats are, because I think that's going to change. He's at 68. Is he still at 68? He's at 60. He's almost at 69% completion. And remember all the things that we heard. Josh Allen would at best be a 60, third year. Oh, he'll be 60. If you get 63% completion from Allen, that's big. This guy has the potential to be that quarterback, 70% completion. We saw pitch and catch, 400 and change. Should have been 4 touchdowns. We got 3. I'll nitpick here, but that's what we get from our quarterback. This is the guy we get to watch on Sunday, guys. I'm starting to get that feeling. This win, you know what this win gave me the feeling of? The feelings of when I was a young kid watching those great Bills teams, and every Sunday I felt like they were going to fucking win. I got up every Sunday, I'm like, they're going to win this fucking game. They're going to win. That's what this win felt like for me. I'm going to read some of your comments, guys, but you're right, Thomas. He's right there. That's his completion percentage. They update the stats really fast anymore. Chris, what's up with Dawson Knox? He didn't have a reception, and he got beat on one of Adams' sacks. Adams blitzed, Knox stood him up, but he got knocked back, and Adams got the sack. That was really, really irritating. Thomas, remember the draft day? Aikman said you can't fix Axery. Everyone's eating crow now. Yeah, and that's why they really don't talk about Josh Allen much, is because he's making a lot of people eat crow, including me. And man, that crow tastes good as shit. I'm gonna eat it up every Sunday. I'm gonna eat it. I love it. Tastes delicious. Best crow ever. I never wanted to be more wrong about anything, and I'm glad I'm continuing to be wrong. Joe, I've always thought the inaccuracy narrative was made up by ESPN, but never felt like it made sense when you dive deep into his game. We saw the inaccuracy. You see the kind of recruit he was. Nobody recruited him. He was on Sirius XM, or he was on somebody's podcast, and he was talking about that, how he thinks about that every game, where he thinks about, you know what, nobody wanted me. I sent out all those emails. Nobody wanted me. I got one offer, and I had to go to junior college, and then he had that growth spurt where he was like a 5'11" senior or something like that. It was really small. Then all of a sudden he got up to 6'2", and then he grew again, 6'4.5". And finally he went to the Reedley school, and then he finally got out to Reedley College, and then he went out to Wyoming. And he was smaller D1 program, but still, there's something there. And I remember back at draft night when they went out there and they saw him, and the most love I ever seen Josh Allen get was during draft time. Mel Kiper loved him, McShay hated him. Everybody marveled at his arm. I talk shit about, I think Josh Allen just looks the part. I don't think he'll ever be good because, thinking about E.J. Manuel, oh my God, that guy was inaccurate. In college, he had, because he was only reading one side of the field. He was only playing football on one side of the field. Allen is everywhere. The whole field is available to Josh Allen. And we have to remember that. Trevor, Lamar Jackson had under 200 yards today for the third straight game. Wow. I know Hollywood Brown was making some shit about not getting hit on some deep passes. He was really upset about. So who knows, man? Bowman, that's why I felt after we beat the Patriots last week, get the monkey off our back. Yeah, just get that win. Beat that team. New Orleans is knocking on the door. They're trying to boat race Tampa Bay. Steve Lynn, do you think we can beat KC or Tennessee with our defense in this playoffs? I think, like I said earlier, the schedule, I think, really hurt them. The schedule being thrown off. They had some key injuries. So I think that more than anything, I think the schedule being thrown off hurt them. And I'm not saying that, they turned over the ball a bunch of times. They played bad. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, kind of for Seattle today. Even though they scored a lot, they had a lot. Bills forced them into a lot of mistakes. Edmonds looks way healthier now, more effective. Yeah, he looked good. He looked good today. Today was his best game. Josh Allen's his best. Like I said, I'm going to tell you guys, and I don't think this is a doubt. I'm not being a homer. I'm being a homer, but I'm not being a homer. If you see one of those draft redos later this offseason, next year, 2018, class of 2018, Josh Allen's name is going to be up there followed by Quentin Nelson. Josh Allen is the first overall pick, ahead of Baker Mayfield, ahead of Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen. Yep, I remember Rob Riddick, Larry Kimbrough, Ronnie Harmon. I remember some of those guys. Jamie Mueller, fullback, number 41. Butch Roll, Mr. Touch. All that guy did, Butch Roll, who's now he's like 50. He's a bodybuilder now. He was a tight end, wore number 87. All he did was catch like these, the kind of touchdowns Tyler Croft caught today. Those are the kind of touchdowns Butch Roll caught for the Bills. They were always these little 1 or 2 yard goal line touchdowns. An offensive lineman named Mitch Farrat, wore number 59, caught a few touchdowns. Like offensive lineman eligible, and he caught them. I remember John Fina caught one also. Just got here what I missed. Just a celebration, Bunzolo. Just enjoying the game, enjoying a signature win, a win that shuts a lot of people up, a win that really instills confidence in the fans, but makes a lot of people think again about the Bills, second guess themselves, like, damn, what did we miss about this team? What's going on? Like, how did they do this? What our quarterback played better than a league MVP candidate, and he's a league MVP candidate himself. And he might be the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. He's a true franchise quarterback, a leader, a guy that his teammates, they want to play for, whistle to whistle, a guy that coaches trust, and a face of the franchise, a guy that's not going to embarrass the organization. Kelly was a pain in the ass. He was a hothead. He hit an edge. He was a bit of a dick. Some people didn't like him, but it is what it is. And sometimes, great quarterbacks have that. Let me read some comments. Shout out to Booker. Played another good game. Came in for 4 who went down, and you didn't notice him because he played a good game. The score was closer than the game looked. That's why I was worried. The score was close, but the Bills never lost the lead. They never lost the lead. And they scored when they had to score, and the defense made a play when they had to make a play. It never got to Rams territory. Feels good to put forward. Yeah, because they had to win that game. Kelly was a diva. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, he was a dick. Kelly was a dick. A lot of people wanted Frank Reich because Frank was such a nice guy. I think the guy was like a minister or a pastor. Like, he quit football. Like, the guy was out of football. And then he he got back into coaching as a quality control guy and yada yada yada. But the guy he's just a nice dude. Read some of the comments. Practical. Yeah, Klein shut us up, man. Klein shut us up. Who says maybe he has a bad game next week? Who knows? But for this week, that guy went out and balled out and made plays, big time impact plays that I didn't think he was capable of. I don't think anybody thought he was capable of. Holy shit. AJ Klein shut us the fuck. He made us go today. Again, that's all we want. All we want is to those guys to put on those uniforms, to go out there and just be the best. That's all we ever want. That's all we root for. Kelly didn't want to be a Bills player. Yeah, that's true. But you look back and you hear him say that it was the best decision he ever made, and he's glad. He never regrets it, even though he was kind of forced into it. He lives up there now, He didn't want to play in the cold and stuff. Now he lives there. He lives in Ellicott, or he lives in the South Towns now. And, look at Thurman moved back too. Thomas, what's your thoughts on Gabe Davis? Do you think he could be? I think Gabe Davis, he makes plays. I mean, last week he dropped the one pass. I felt like he got hosed. I thought, he should have had a touchdown. The guy catches and scores. He catches some. Like this week, that should have been a touchdown. This guy should have like 6 or 7 receiving touchdowns. He crossed the pylon. He was inbounds, and he put the ball over. It's a touchdown. McBrizzle, yeah, I talked a lot of shit about Klein. I'm glad he made me look wrong today. He kind of deserved it. He was not bad. Am I from Buffalo? No, never been. Never been. I'm from here in North New Jersey. I live right outside of New York City. You're like an hour and change from Buffalo. Okay, so you're out there. Gabe Davis makes plays. I'm surprised Gabe Davis. I look back on him getting drafted. Yeah, he's still not 100%, Joe. I saw him hobble a couple of times, but I was glad he stayed in the game. Gabe Davis felt like a concession prize to me. I was like, we didn't get Chase Claypool. We didn't get there was a couple other receivers we didn't get. The Bills didn't draft. And I was like, Gabe Davis. We start looking at the highlights. He makes some plays at Central Florida. And then, you hear his story, Bills DNA, kind of the same rhetoric. And it's like, okay, but the guy goes out there and he plays. He plays hard. He blocks well. His hands are pretty damn sure. I mean, he should have caught the touchdown last week, but for the most part, the guy makes the catches he has to make. He makes the routine catches, the difficult one. I have no idea, man. I maybe upstairs they didn't tell him. I don't know, because when they came back, you guys were watching the game just as well as me. When they came back from the booth and showed that, I was just like, because I try to stay off Twitter during the game. I don't like to be on Twitter because especially when they're at home, the media guys get the jump and they're going to tweet what happens before it happens in real time, because there's a like 15, 20-second delay from real time to network. And for some reason, I was on Twitter on my phone and I saw Gabe Davis scored. He should have challenged it. And I was like, what? And then it's the first fucking thing I see when I come back. I was like, oh my God, that's 4 points. That's, if not 6. Okay, let's just not assume the PAT, but let's all say that Tyler Bass turned a corner after that New York Jets game. But I was so glad that shit didn't come back to bite them in the ass. Claypool's he's a Mapletron's big, man. Yeah, Gabe Davis, Joe, does not like a rookie. I think he's a little bit more explosive than Quinn Early. You know who he reminds me of? You guys are gonna laugh. You know who he reminds me of a little bit? And it took a few years for this guy to catch on as wide receiver. He reminds me of Eric Moulds. He reminds me he's physical. He's built. He's actually a little taller than Moulds. Maybe he's not quite as explosive, but yeah, he reminds me of Eric Moulds. I don't know what it was. I don't know why they didn't challenge it. Yeah, third year with Moulds, and it was with Doug Flutie. He blew up. I remember that Carolina game. He arrived. Like, he just went off on Carolina. And he looked like a bust. I mean, I remember his first touchdown was a kickoff return. Caught his first touchdown in a loss to Seattle, in Seattle. I remember that. It was the only touchdown pass he ever caught from Kelly. Only touchdown pass he ever caught from Kelly. Everything after that was, I know him and the reason Todd Collins wasn't on the Bills anymore was because of a fight he got into with Eric Moulds. He got into an argument with Eric Moulds or some sort of dispute, and that was it. I'll always say Reed for me because he was just so fucking tough. He was so tough. He played in the era of, he always had a guy people talked about ahead of him, whether it was Rice, whether it was Chris Carter, the whole laundry list of guys back then, Art Monk, you name it. You had Mark Clayton, Al Toon. There was always another guy. But Andre Reed, to me, even though Andre Reed, to me, like, he was just so fucking tough. And he played in an era where wide receivers would just get destroyed over the middle. Destroyed. But I love Moulds. Imagine those two playing together. Holy shit. We're going down memory lane, but guys, how happy are you? How happy are you? How good is your Victory Monday going to be? How good is your sleep going to be? Your dinner tastes excellent. The sex is going to be off the hook. Everything is fucking delicious. Happy as hell. Man. Bad quarterbacks too, for the most part, Matt. Bad ones. Nah, he now Flutie was decent. Johnson was just, I don't know. He was frustrating. Johnson looked the part, had tons of talent, just could never put it together. Yeah, Andre Reed was, the skinny, like it just physical skinny post, the quick hitter over the middle drag route, tough, could get blown up. There was no defenseless receiver. There was no defenseless receiver penalties back then. So he, oh God, Travis Brown, number 5. Jesus Christ. Oh, Alex Van Pelt. He tried for all his faults. He looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy, but he had a few okay statistical games. Couldn't win shit. Good old Robo Sack. Yeah, you know what? It wasn't just. It was like when Rob Johnson gets sacked. It reminded me of J.P. Lossman getting sacked. Like he would get sacked and the fucking ball would just fly out of his hands. Like it was never just a sack. It was a strip sack. It was like the ball just went flying. Thomas, isn't it nice that we live in a time you don't have to talk about Trent, JP, Manuel? You know the kind of quarterback that I hated the most? The kind of quarterback I hated the most was a Kyle Orton. Just even Fitz. Fitz is easy to like, but you had your early days of Fitz, right? You had your early days of Fitz. And it was just like journeyman, little engine that could. Oh, better than watching Billy Joe Holbert, which I told the story about Billy Joe Holbert and why he got released. Imagine, those were some dark days. When you have your quarterback that you traded a 3rd-round pick for, tell the media that he didn't know the play. That's when that's when it was bad. Oh, Jim and I, it was a huge win. We're not going anywhere for a long time. We finally got lucky with a head coach hire. Same for Brandon Beane. These guys deserve most of the credit. They McDermott's steady hand, Beane, those guys being in lockstep, true lockstep, not the old Brandon Beane lockstep, his corporate speak. We see it. We see the winning. We see the quarterback. No more QB purgatory. No more salary cap jail. None of that. And it feels so good. I love. Oh, Tom, thanks, man. Dick Duran was. I can't even say that name. I can't say Matt. Yeah, he does. He does get better, and hopefully he continues because we're gonna need him because that's how you get young players on cheap contracts that develop for you that you can eventually pay, but you always have to let older veterans go. Well, man, that's how low the bar was, Joe. EJ was just that bad, and if you're making Kyle Orton look good, that's just ugh. Yeah, Dick. I don't know. Did that guy ever? I don't. He was just so vanilla. He was vanilla. I think we all agree the easiest drought coach was Chan. He didn't get much results, but yeah, those when I started him back in 07. My first video was the Monday, like you guys know, it was the Monday night loss to Dallas. That was my first Bills video. Yeah, play not bend but don't break, but eventually just break in two. But guys, it's 9 o'clock. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's games like today, days like today, wins like today that this is bigger than Dallas last year, better than the Vikings in 18, even though the team wasn't good, better than the Bills locking up a playoff in they were going to the playoffs, but beating Pittsburgh. This is that good. This is that good. What a great fucking day. It felt, you wore your Edmonds jersey to sports bar, was proud how tough he played. Yeah. Which way to the beach? I think this win was on par. It was that good. But you have your franchise quarterback. You have your real franchise quarterback, man. And this was great. Yeah, I'm glad. 7-2, guys. 7-2. And I think you play those other 2 games, under better circumstances, normal circumstances. And more so, injuries are injuries, whatever. But just the times they were supposed to be played, you might get a little bit different outcome. Let's see what happens next week against Arizona. Let's see what roster decisions are made. Maybe Darren Lee comes up and gets a little bit of play. I think AJ Klein earned himself another week of play. You can't argue against that, but maybe Darren Lee starts to factor in the mix a little bit to, because you want to see maybe what he can do, because, when Milano comes back, Milano's going to play, provided he's healthy, and hopefully he is. Hopefully those 4 weeks with the bye give him the time that he needs to get better. I just wish it would have been done sooner instead of the guy played 29 snaps in the last 2 weeks. It was pointless. I'll read a couple of comments. McDermott gave them an off day after the Patriots win helped. He did. Yeah, he did. He did it again. He said it in the locker room. He said, "We're after this week, it's a bye." He's like, "Don't make me regret giving you this day off." He said, "Stay focused." Telling him basically, don't think about the bye week. We got a game before the bye. Don't look ahead, because sometimes a lot of guys do that. They're not allowed to leave on the bye. They have to stay in the city. They can't leave Buffalo because of they keep changing the protocols or the league guidelines. They can't leave on the bye. They have to stay in Buffalo. Damager, how do I see RD matching up against? They really they had Trey on him a lot today, and I think you're going to see Trey. I think Trey's going to want to go play against Hopkins, especially because of last year in the playoffs. I think Trey's going to want to match up, Damager. I think he's going to want to match up. So, you're a competitive guy. You're alpha male. You want to go against another alpha. Let's see. Crazy stat today, though. The Hopkins didn't catch his first pass. It was like the first offensive play of the second half for Arizona. I remember they said, "Oh, he had no catches." Then he started catching passes. Guys, love you. Thank you. Thank you. More than I can ever express. Bills win. Victory Monday. Fun week. Happy week. Go Bills. Take care. Love you all.